Welcome to the 400th episode. Well, 420 episodes. I did 20 with guests, but 400 on my own. That was shite. Well, how are we doing? No, but this is the 400th episode. 400. 400 episodes, everyone. We did 400 episodes. 400 episodes. Do it. Do it. Like and subscribe. Welcome to this episode of the Limitation Is A Mirage podcast. 400 episodes. Whenever I started this, my challenge was to do an episode a day for a year, and then I figured I would just do nothing with it, and I actually skipped a few months. So to get to 400 was way beyond what I was expecting to do, and the feedback and the places that this podcast has went has been unreal. So it's just got me thinking about looking back throughout my life, like, what have I done to get me to this position now? Why do I feel I can talk for 400 episodes? What sort of information am I giving people? What am I talking about? And initially it was just me giving information about how to improve your life. And then I started to try to be a bit more open with how I live my life and the things that I do. And that's what people have connected to. And I find a lot of people don't believe the amount of different random things that I've done with my life. Like, for example, Ninja Warrior, being on TV for that, being on TV for The Fall, Love, Hate, meeting Liam Neeson and doing a scene with him. Just as an example, that's a few things that have come up most recently. Like, if you go way back to competing in British kickboxing, to competing in Irish pole dancing, to being in a movie, being on stage in front of 100,000 people, smashing a man in the head with an axe. First time I ever did the axe smash. Didn't know what to do, didn't have any clue, and was just told to just go for it and not be... They didn't use a polite term that I'll use, but don't be a wimp. And I was like, well, fuck it, here we go. And smashed it and smashed him and smashed everything. So that was interesting. 100,000 people in Trafalgar Square going, hello, well done. So I've done some incredible things in my life, and it all comes from my ability to just say yes to things that most people would say no to. Even some of the edits that I've done for different companies, whenever they ask me to like edit videos, I've edited videos that other people have turned down because it's too much work. But I know that I'm quite good at finding workarounds. I'm quite good at challenging myself, and I'm not afraid to challenge myself. Probably again because of the other experiences in my life. Like, editing a video that people have turned down isn't as hard as standing in front of someone kicking and punching you in the head. So whenever you weigh it up that way, it's much easier to sit and edit a video. So 400 episodes. I've learned so much doing it. Like, I've learned about all the technology shit that I never was interested in doing, that I thought was too hard or impossible to learn and somebody else should just do it. The more I've done this, the more I've looked into it, the easier it's become, because I understand what I'm trying to do, and then I can make wee workarounds. And the reason I bring that up is because loads of people have asked me in the 400 episodes, how do you start a podcast? I would love to do a podcast. It's too hard. When I used to start the podcast with this phone. And I would scroll across wherever it is, and I would find the thing, and I'd plug this in, and then I would go, right, 3, 2, 1, go brain, and I would hit the button, and then I would just start talking about anything, because I know so much about what I'm teaching and what I've learned over the years. I never was afraid to just stand in front of the camera or stick it on an audio and just let rip, because I knew that whatever I said was going to be relevant to the things that I had been talking about throughout the week, because that's what's in my head at the time. But I knew it was going to be good stuff, because I'm not trying to, I'm not coming on here and talking about football. I don't know anything about football except Peter Schmeichel used to play for Man United. That's pretty much where my knowledge ends. And Scalacci scored a goal and everyone went, Scalacci! That's the other part that I remember. I don't even know when that was. It always reminds me of Mackie, so if Mackie watches it, he can tell me. Or Squire will tell me. Somebody will tell me. Sean might even tell me. Anyway, he scored a goal, and that's what you shout. So we used to shout that whenever we scored goals. And I say I never really scored any goals, but I was more in nets. I was the skinny fat kid that they just were like, stand in nets there, Liam, block that with your face. But when people scored, we'd be all like, Scalacci! Anyway, why did I bring that? Oh, because I'm not trying to just chat shite here. I'm not just talking about football and being like, here, I can teach you how to know things about football and become football guy. That's not what I do. To be fair, I have worked with a lot of football and Gaelic players, but it's been based on making them physically, mentally, and emotionally stronger so that they become better players, not talking tactics or anything. My tactic generally was just punch the guy and they'll stop tackling you, which I don't think is allowed. So how do you start a podcast? You just fucking do it. How do you do any of this stuff? You just do it and you get better. If you look back to my first videos, if you go to my first couple podcasts, they probably sound shit. They probably look shit. I probably don't really engage much. I'm quite robotic when I stand in general, so I probably didn't really move or open my mouth much or mumbled the way through it. So you'll see my progression and growth the way as I've developed in these 400, I'm going to keep saying it because it's quite exciting, 400. And not only is it 400 episodes, 400 episodes, it's also my 6th year YouTube anniversary on this channel. I have been on YouTube for 13 years all in, but I deleted a channel because I didn't like it anymore, because I was stupid and didn't know that you could just change the channel and use all the stuff, because I didn't know anything about technology, so that was fucking stupid. But this channel here that we're on right now, that you're on watching, if you haven't subscribed it, you should subscribe because it's fucking awesome. But it has 6 years. It's 6 years. I think it will be going into like P6 or 7 or 1 or 3, or depends if I got held back or not. Probably got held back a bit because the start of it was pretty shit, so probably would have got held back. Say P5, P6, 3, 4. I don't know what age you'd be at school. P4. We're going to go for P4. That's how you do it. You just go and do it. I'm just finishing my class, so I just realised I'm very psyched still, so I'm going to try to just relax a little. But also 400 episodes, so I'm allowed to be psyched. So what I was talking about, so just do it. Like Nike, they said it best, or Nike, depends where you're from. I stole that from Connor Keys, Nike. If you are thinking about doing something, starting something like this, a vlog, you don't need fancy equipment, you don't need lights, you don't need anything. You just need you in front of a camera, it can be your phone, and just do it. And then over time, you can develop skills, you can buy other things. That's what my whole teaching is about. Like the superhero, there's my book also, but that's my journal that I made. So the Superhuman journal, I'm telling people you can become superhuman by just doing slightly more than you do normally in your day-to-day life. If you do that, you will become a better version of yourself, which is superhuman in my eyes. It is not hard to become slightly better than everyone else. Like most people are quite content with average. You can go beyond average with a small amount of effort. So imagine if you put in like 10% more effort than everyone else, you already stand out. So if you have something you're passionate about and you want to do it, then fucking do it. If it's on a side hustle or grind or whatever you want to call it, and you just do your shitty job that you hate, or you have to look after your family all day and then you take an hour before you go to bed, instead of watching some TV show, you work on whatever it is that you want to work on. Do that and you will eventually get to the point where you're somewhere that you're content, happy and proud of. You might be the person shouting about 400 episodes. They are podcasts. Some of them are like 2 to 3 minutes long, but that's not the point. So go back, listen to the first one. Listen to all of them actually, because then it'll put my ratings through the roof and that'll be fucking awesome too. But listen to like the first couple and be like, right, fuck, there is some difference. I didn't even video until like probably 366, maybe, something like that. So the first ones were literally like in my car, just whenever I remember during the day to do it. So challenge yourself. The more you challenge yourself, the more you'll grow. The more you grow, the more you have a better, happier life. That's what I have noticed within my life. And over the years, I've done some fucking madness that if you had asked me when I was younger, I would never have thought that it was possible for me to do any of these things. I talk about it quite often. The 16-year-old version of me would have thought I am fucking awesome. They'd be like, that guy is the guy that I want to be. And in like 5 years, the 21-year-old version of me will look back and go, fucking hell, that guy is awesome and I want to be like, you know what I mean? So I'm progressively growing for myself so that I can look back and go, fuck, who you were then is nothing like who you are now. So that's what, well, I'm just ranting now at this stage, I suppose. Just do it. Fucking whatever you want to do, like, give it a go. I've met people that wanted to be magicians, and I meet them at gigs, and they're like, God, I wish I was a magician. I used to do a wee bit of card magic about the house, but never, and I can see the soul-destroying way that they're explaining to me, and I'm like, fuck, if you had to just put a wee bit of effort in and actually, like, didn't let your fear override that. You could be standing now in a custom-made suit by D. Graham going, here, pick a card, fuckers, and pulling it out of your wallet or out of your ass or wherever you want to pull it out of. Same with comedians, everything. I've been at loads of gigs where people say, I would have loved to do that. But they never really did it. They never really tried to do it. They gave up because they were afraid. So imagine what would happen if you just didn't let fear override you. That's the gist of it. So thanks again for everyone that's listened to everything. The super awesomest, superest people who have listened to 400 episodes of this shit. You're the awesomest people that ever exist. So if you have done that, let me know in the comments so I can be like, yes, and maybe I'll send you a copy of my book. I will send you a copy of my book now I think about it. If you have listened to all 400 and you let me know, I'll send you a copy of my book. Do it. Until then, have an amazing day. Whatever you get up to, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things that makes more people see my stuff so that I can get to 800 episodes, and then imagine how fucking pumped I'll be then. Until then, have a super awesome day, and I will speak to you again soon.